Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. We have a particularly exciting battle today with me in control of the Wood Elves up against Alias Varus, who is in control of the Bretonnia. Now of course this is a match which normally heavily favours Bretonnia, but I thought I'd give it a go anyway and see how we manage to deal with such opponents. So, for our front line, we have gone for 3 units of Tree King, 2 of the standard ones on the flank. Then we do have the Regiment Renowned right in the middle here, the Firebark Elders. These guys are pretty beastly stat-wise. They also come with some nifty little tools as well. They do, of course, have the Wildfire Aura, which gives a 25% flame resistance to everyone nearby. And, of course, Bretonnians can bring fire arrows and different things like that, which can cause a few problems. So these guys are pretty useful. And of course, all Tree King have charged defense against large foes, which is fantastic. So what we're going to be trying to do is catching all the Bretonnian heavy cav that Bretonnian often bring in these type of matchups on the front line. And then we're going to swoop in with these War Dancers of Azrai Spears, who of course are anti-large. So we have 3 units of these, one behind each unit of Tree King. Actually, one of them, sorry, we have 2 units of those, and 1 unit of the Winterheart Guard. So we're going to serve the exact same purpose. These guys are the Regiment Renowned Eternal Guard, who are unbreakable. So we're going to have one of those behind each unit of Tree King, just to try and stop the enemy cav in their tracks, then saturate ourselves in and do that anti-large damage. We've also brought 2 units of War Dancers, 1 on each flank, and these guys are there to chew and munch through infantry as quickly as possible. Now, leading our forces today, we do have the mighty Durthu. Look at this absolute beast of a tree man. He's going to be coming in here, smacking people left and right with his big old giant sword. So he does have the Sword of Death and Lamination of Despair, which are 2 fairly decent abilities he comes with. But spell-wise, we are bringing Transformation of Kadon for that Manticore summon, which is going to be absolutely key. We also have the Curse of Anir, Flock of Doom, and also Wyson's Wild Form. And the reason we've bought Wyson's Wild Form, apart from to pimp up average troops and himself, we also have a big Forest Dragon, and if my opponent has brought anyone in the air, as we can see he has, he'd be quite good with the buff pop down on him, dueling up in the skies. Now, as you can see, he is flying his way headlong towards the enemy here, because he does have magic attacks, and I wanted to see if the breath attack counted as magic, and my opponent has brought the Green Knight. So, speaking of which, let's go have a little look at his army. So the front line, he has gone for some brave and mighty peasant mobs, the backbone of Bretonnian infantry, here with their shovels, rakes, and all other types of useless weaponry, just in the very poor armor, just little cloths they've managed to chuck together, but they're going to be there taking the initial charge for Bretonnia. Now in his main battle line, he does have men-at-arms with shields, which isn't a bad pick. They'd be pretty decent against archer fire, being shielded themselves, and they are fairly cheap. He's also got some spearmen mixed in there as well. In the back, he does have 4 units of the peasant bowmen, very good up against wood elves, as they trade effectively against much more elite archers. 2 of them are going to be the pox arrows on the flanks, and in the centre, he has brought a couple of units of the fire arrows. Now, for his cav contingent, he does have the defenders of the Fleur de Lis, which are Regiment Renowned Knights Errants, who are doing a decent job, who do have frenzy themselves. And up on the high ground here, he has the Knights of the Lion-Hearted, Knights of the Realm Regiment of Renowned, super powerful and good unit, alongside some Grey Knights, who are also very elite and hardcore. Now, for his leadership, he does of course have the Green Knight, who we mentioned earlier, who I think personally is a very risky pick. If I had brought someone like the Glade Lady, who is a very kind of common pick by Wood Elf players because of the Net of Ammon talk and so forth, she has magic range attacks, and she could just sit there all day up in the skies and take him down very easily. However, at the same time, he'd be able to absolutely tank mass amounts of fire from, Way Watchers and so forth, are also a common pick, so it's a risky pick, but at the same time, it could be a gamble that pays off. And up in the skies, he does have King Lewin. Interesting enough, he hasn't brought a mage. Maybe he didn't have enough money when he was also going for the Green Knights. But personally, to any new players out there, I would always highly recommend bringing a spellcaster. I think it just gives you so much value. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. Now, I was expecting to meet my foe kind of in the middle, so I was trying to hug this tree line as much as possible. Of course, Wood Elves fighting better in the trees, and Cavs struggling. As we can see, a big breath attack does come in and does absolutely nothing to the Green Knight, a tiny amount of damage, and in return the dragon has been smacked a few times by King Lewin. But we have also now going to be drop the Wyson Wild Form on our dragon and chasing him off. However, we are going to get a bit danger close to these archers, and we're going to have to summon a Manticore just to rescue the dragon. So a very poor start from us here. King Lewin dueling the dragon, up in the skies, doing a ton of damage. Archer fire coming in, and we've had to sacrifice one of our only 2 summons instantly just to drive off Lewin and protect this forest dragon. Now I'm going to speed things up here a little bit because the battle takes a little while to actually fully get underway. As we can see, the Manticore is just sacrificed in there and does rampage down onto the Green Knight to do very little damage. We have suffered half health on our Forest Dragon, who gets 1 breath attack in there, but barely scratches those Grail Knights. So overall, we've had to use some Winds of Magic, we've used one of our 2 summons, and we're about down to half health on our Forest Dragon, all before the actual battle has fully begun. But as you can see what we've done here, knowing my opponent's not going to meet me willingly in the trees, we've had to walk all the way around just to ensure we're not going uphill here. Of course, fighting uphill gives you several disadvantages. So we're going to be trying to get ourselves fairly level, using the tree line as protection before marching out to face our foe here. So let's just speed this up while a little bit of manoeuvring does go on. Now, of course, most Wood Elf players like the Way Watcher build and whatnot, so we've tried something a little bit different, going heavy with the Tree Men, because going Way Watchers is just super risky against Bretonnian and often doesn't work very well just because of the amount of heavy cav which can punch through your front line very, very quickly. As you can see, we are now marching out of the forest, the march of the Tree King, dragon flying overhead and screeching way dancers chasing in. I'm about to collide in with these peasant mobs. So the peasant mobs are going to do basically no damage, however they are going to pin us in place, which allows the far in line of our opponent to get some decent shots in and allow these men-at-arms to get the charge. We have some war dancers running down here who have some very, very cool attack animations, I must say. And we've even brought in the Forest Dragon just to collapse this side as fast as possible in an attempt to push some units through onto this bowline. Lewin does respond by trying to chase down the Forest Dragon, but we're merely going to pull back and try and stay out of the way. If we can't win the fight in the air, we're at least going to try and drag him as far away back before popping the Wild Form and be able to stand a little bit of a chance. My opponent has charged in here on the left flank with all his cavalry, which we were waiting for, so he brought Durthu over. It's made him be a roadblock with his Tree King. Now with the Winterheart Guard and these War Dancers, we're going to be getting in on top of these cav units and should slowly be starting to drag them down, which is just what we want. As you can see, the dragon is now chasing off Lewin. They're having a very back and forth battle, and he once again comes back, but we're dropping in a nice breath attack here. Coming down, doing a decent amount of damage to those men-at-arms, nothing too special before falling back again. And on the front line, things aren't going too bad. We have summoned a Feral Manticore who's going to be trying to hop into this back line and disrupt these peasant bowmen. And on the front line, Tree King have managed to break through this right-hand flank. We're trying to force some War Dancers into the back line here, but they are getting picked on by men-at-arms. And they're up to 73 kills, 74 kills there. But as you can see, very annoyingly, they're just about to reach these bowmen, and then they turn around and come back. And that is because some of my unit has been hooked up here. You have to be very vigilant of this. If you do see this, you have to clean repetitively click to push them through. Instead, the dragon is now going to be going to the back lines. Now he's kind of managed to juke Lewin long enough. He's going to be popping in the back and causing a bit of disruption. Speaking of Lewin, he did come in for a very risky attack on Durthu. And as you can see, we've managed to wrap the Firebark Embers round him along with these other Tree King. And we've just saturated on top with our anti-large spearmen. And we're slowly dragging him down. Durthu's in there, smacking him around left and right as well. And it looks like there's going to be some cav charging in, desperately trying to rescue their kin. And they can charge in for a nice rear charge here by my opponent with the Knights of the Lionheart. However, they do get pinged up on top of these Tree King, who of course have that defense against large foes. And it looks like we are going to break off King Lewin and possibly drag him down. We've dropped a big curse down as well on this big blob. And in the background, you can see the Fire Dragon and this Manticore are doing a decent job of at least distracting the bowmen and running a few of those off. Opening us up to, there's a bit of this mosh pit is where we kind of want to drag the Bretonnians into right now, and we're doing it fairly successfully. It looks like the king has fallen as well. His corpse is down here. You can see his big pigeon, and that is going to be a massive boon to us as a lot of these peasants have very low morale. And as you can see, the knights are just getting pinned up, and these Winterheart Guard here doing a decent job of slowly dragging them down. And of course, Durthu himself is a massive armor-piercing monster. Now the Green Knight's been running around doing decent work. He's up to 16 kills now. However, he, of course, is very susceptible to magic attacks, so he wants to stay as far away from Durthu as possible. Speaking of which, we are bringing him over by the looks of it, to, introduce himself to the Green Knight. In the background, it does look like our Forest Dragon is eventually being dragged down, and considering its poor start, it has managed to get up into the 50 kill range, so it's done a decent job in the end, even with a bit of bad micro at the start from myself. So it looks like Durthu has popped Fosick, comes through, and a massive smack onto the Green Knight there. There's a huge amount of damage, 2 slaps there, and he's already lost over a quarter of his health. So the Green Knight definitely wants to be careful and back out. And as you can see, we formed a bit of a doom blob using these War Dancers behind the Tree King and Durthu to try and deal with all the peasants and cav that get sent our way. In the background, it looks like the dragon has completely died. There he is, the poor fellow. And he's next down. Oh god, what is that? Oh, that's Feral Manticore. I thought he had been split in 2 there. But he has been brought down low, so we are going to have this constant peasant archer fire coming in, but they are starting to run quite low on ammo. Green Knight nearly drags Durthu away from this blob, and we have to keep him nearby. Leadership is so key at the moment. We do have a few units rallying on the side here. We have some War Dancers all the way in the background, it looks like, who are going to be charging back, trying to get on top of these peasant bowmen. And we do have some more Treekin who are trying to get back into the main fight. So Durthu blocked up with these guys, keeping them fighting, keeping that leadership high. And it looks like the power balance is now going quite heavily into our favour, which is all good. We've got these returning Tree King, but I believe the Green Knight does eventually go over there and shut them down. So it's kind of what you see here is what you get, and it's can we endure? You can see all the peasants are running from the hills, and we've done so much damage to the Knights, even they themselves have shattered. The Green Knight gets a little too close for comfort, trying to ride in and save these spearmen. In return, takes a few slaps from Durthu, and he is very danger low now. And a big lamination of despair coming in. Doesn't quite finish him off though, but does get him down to 550 health. So he's pretty beaten up at this point, and it looks like the rest of his army has shattered before the fury of the Treekin and Durthu. The Forest Spirits claiming victory here. Another Treekin does go down by looks of it, but the Green Knight trying to escape, bravely as all Bretonnia Knights do. A tactical retreat, as he'll call it. But one big slap from Durthu, and down he goes. And that is a Pyrrhic victory for the Wood Elves. I'm very happy with that battle, as it's a battle which is very, or a matchup at least, that very, very favours the Bretonians. So let's go to the end stats there. Now, well played to my opponent, Alias Varus. We've also got another battle up on the channel. I think it was the last one I posted with a very cool Lizard Man battle, so definitely go check that out. And I hope to meet him again on the ladder. Very cool opponent. Seems like a very nice guy, and I quite liked a lot of his tactics used in the games we did play. He did a lot of nice cycle charging, trying to break our little pocket, but I think what he was expecting was the traditional Wood Elf build of, a Glade Lady up in the air, 3 units of Way Watchers, and maybe some Wild Riders to protect them. And I think this would have been a really good build to kind of deal with that type of style, but however... Oh, pardon me, sorry. I definitely would have brought a mage. I think a mage is key. Maybe a Law of Life damsel in this situation, because the Green Knight can do great with healing, and so can King Lewin as well. But for my build, I really like the way it plays. Now, there's a bit of kind of strangeness at the start of the battle, obviously going back and forth, testing a few things out with the dragon, and it was a very poor start from me, but however we managed to recover, remain calm, and just keep going. Yes, you've lost half health on a very important unit, and you've wasted some winds of magic, but the battle is no way over, so you have to keep controlling these situations, keep calm, and just carry on and do the best you can. So the dragon, 56 kills, not bad considering the situation I put it in at the start, and I really like the saturation of the War Dancers, Azrai Spears in particular, on top of the Treekin. They just work so well as a big roadblock, and Azrai Spears, yes, they're anti-large, but they're still tear through peasants like no tomorrow. And a big 102 kills up on the mighty Durthu there, which is always good to see him used. I don't think he gets picked that much, so it's nice, I think he has a niche pick up against the Bretonians. Even with him, I think it's very hard, but I think he gives you a good fighting chance. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was good fun to make. So if you did, please do leave a like, and feel free to comment on what you'd like to see next. Subscribe, all that kind of good YouTube stuff that every YouTuber says at the end of their video. I also have a Patreon down below. Now, I am hopefully going to be doing some live streams next week with all the new stuff. Unfortunately, I now have to have a small operation on the release date on Wednesday, which unfortunately cannot be moved, which is really frustrating, of course. But hopefully I should be on in the evening. I'm hoping 8 PM British summertime, putting out some content, and I'll try and put a video out before I have to go to hospital, basically. So there'll still be content. I'll still be bringing stuff out as much as I can with the new DLC. I hope you guys are excited for the new DLC. I'm super excited to see the Dread Saurian in action, and the Razordons. They're actually one of my favourite units thematically. So let me know what you guys are most excited to see. Until next time, guys, peace, and stay awesome.